The question that I'm going to do today is from the ordinary level DCG paper. It's the Geologic Geometry question and it's from the 2019 paper. So it says the image on the right shows an aerial view of an open mine. A portion of a similar mine area is represented on the accompanying map located on the back of section A. The map shows ground contours at 5 meter vertical intervals. So it's important just to look at what the vertical intervals between each of the contours are. So generally they're always nearly 5 meter vertical intervals. Part A, on the map supply, draw a vertical section profile of the line AB. So we're going to look at how we need to do that. Then it says points C, D and E are outcrop points on the surface of the stratum of ore. Draw the plan elevation of the triangle CDE. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then the last thing we have to do then is determine the strike and the dip of the stratum. So I'm going to start with the first part of the question. So what it wants us to do is draw a vertical section profile from A to B. Okay, so that's like taking a vertical cut down through the mine and seeing what shape the outline of the mine is. So what I can see is from the contours at A it's 50 and it goes all the way up to a height of 80 and then back down to 55. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here and I'm going to, my lowest contour is 45. So I'm going to start there, 45, 50, 55. And up to 80. And what I'm going to do then to draw the vertical section is I'm going to identify on the map where each of these cross a contour line. And then I'm going to project them up. Okay, so now what we're going to do is going to just identify then where each contour is. That's on the 50 meter contour, so you go up to the 50 line. Then we have that on the 45, 45, D. Okay, so there are all your points, and afterwards then you draw a smooth curve then to join up your points. So that's part A of the question done. So a vertical section profile is just identifying where the line that you're given crosses each contour and then drawn an elevation or vertical section of that to show the outline at that section point. Part B says points C, D and E are outcrop points on the surface of the stratum of ore. Draw the plan elevation of the triangle. So there's C, D and E. So to draw the plan view of this triangle, just join up our points. And then we need to identify the height of each point. So C is 45 meters because it's on that contour line. D is 75 meters and E is 55 meters. So now what we're going to do is bring this up to our up here, and we're going to draw an elevation of that. So I'm going to just highlight this triangle now in a different color. Okay, so there's the plan and elevation now of that done, and part C then says determine the strike and dip of the stratum. So a stratum of ore is basically a lump of gold, or a lump of material that's underneath the surface of the mine. So the way I like to think of it is maybe a triangular lump of gold. And this is the top surface of that lump of gold. So what we need to do now is we need to determine the strike and the dip of that lump of gold. So the strike is basically a level line that runs along the top of that triangle of ore, and then the dip then is the angle that that lump of ore is at underneath the ground. So the angle it's at in relation to the horizontal plane. So I'm going to start with the strike. So to get the strike, what we're going to do is going to draw a level line in elevation. So when I draw my level line in elevation, I always go through the middle point. That's the bottom one, top one, there's the middle one. Bring a line across. Now that line there is on CD. I'm going to call that point X. Drop down point X to CD and then join it back up to E. And that then is your strike line. So then just label that as your strike. Okay, now the last part of the question then is to get the dip of the stratum. So the dip, I said, is the angle that that lump of ore is at underneath the ground. So to do that now, we need to look along our strike line. So we're going to be standing here and we're going to look down along our strike line, and that'll give us our dip angle. Auxiliary, take your heights from elevation. Now I'm going to say C is on the ground, so I'm going to put point C there. So kind of put a datum line through point C, and then I can take the heights then of E and the height of D. So again, going from the height where C is, mark up E, and then mark up D. And the way that you should know that you have your auxiliary done correctly is the 3 points should line up in a straight line, because you're after getting an edge view along the top of the stratum of ore. And your dip angle then is the angle that it makes to the X1, Y1 line. So identify that, and then with your protractor then measure the angle. So I'm getting an angle of 24 degrees. To recap on the last part, a strike is a level line that's drawn across the top surface of the stratum of ore. So to get that, what you need to do is you need to draw the elevation of your stratum of ore, then draw a level line or a horizontal line through the middle point. So the middle point in this question was point E. Draw a level line through it, give us point X there on the line CD, drop it down, we got X then on CD in plan view, join it back up to E, and that's your strike line. Your dip then, it's the angle the stratum of ore is at with respect to the horizontal plane. So you need to look out along your strike line then. When you look out along your strike line, you will get an edge view of the top surface of the stratum of ore, which will give you the angle with respect to the horizontal plane.